What's up folks, Toby here, and I'm bringing you a new video series called VbeerLOG. It's like a vlog but with beer. That's basically a video series where I talk about random topics while drinking beer. Cheers to that. So, the first topic I wanted to talk about in the episode number 1 is a topic that's been bothering me for a long freaking time. And it's the endgame in both Diablo 2 and perhaps Diablo 3. My issues with it and why I fucking hate it, and how do I propose solving it. So right now, as it stands, in Diablo 2 you kind of have two types of endgame. One is for multiplayer, one is for single player. If we take a look at multiplayer, you have pretty much ladder system. Non-ladder is just non-existent, nobody's playing there, so we can just pretty much ignore it. Now, ladder system, it's just fucking cancer in my eyes. What's the point of it? Really, what's the point of it? It's like a superficial extension of the content? Something of that sort? Like, if you enjoy playing the game, and you want to continue playing with your character, you just have no freaking choice, because your character will be reset after 6 months. You have literally no say in it. And the appeal of it is that everyone comes back to playing it at the ladder reset. But, you know, the ladders quickly die out because everyone has already experienced everything that Diablo 2 has to offer. Everyone geared up real quick, and that's it. The ladder is dead. Of course, a lot of it has to do with, you know, this general population being pretty small for Diablo 2. But even then, this extension of what to do in the end game of Diablo 2 is very superficial. It's not coming out of the depth of the game. It's just a reset button where you have no say in it. Now, for single player, it's a bit different topic, because technically I would even go as far as saying that Diablo 2 has no end game at all. That's why the ladder system was introduced. People do come up with some challenges to keep them going. For example, like a Holy Grail challenge, or just getting all characters to level 99, or doing a, I don't know, naked hardcore run to level 99, whatever. But it's kind of the same deal as with ladders. It's not something that's coming from the game, but it's something that comes from the players. They're basically so invested into this game, they find it so enjoyable, whether it's just the gameplay, whether it's just the looting, and I think the loot system in Diablo 2 is just absolutely amazing. I think the most major thing in Diablo 2's success is actually the loot system, where there are so few good items that you pretty much know all of them by heart. You know, Depth's Fathom, Depth's Web, Enigma, which is a rune word, but whatever, you just know them by heart. So when you finally find it, after hundreds or thousands of runs, it just feels so satisfying. It feels so rewarding. So I do attribute a lot of Diablo 2's success to the loot system, that you actually have to work for those amazing items. But that's kind of getting off point. So what I was getting at is that people find some elements of Diablo 2 so enjoyable that they have to come up with challenges themselves to keep them going, to keep them feeling motivated. So yeah, that's kind of my issue. Like, at some point, no matter how enjoyable the gameplay is, no matter how enjoyable the loot system is, no matter, you know, how enjoyable certain elements of the game is, if there's nothing to do in the game, if there's nothing new in the game, you will get bored of it. So here's what I think, what kind of a model, perhaps, let's say, would be very fitting for action RPGs. And do you know that this is probably getting very close to MMORPGs? But at the same time, it's not exactly that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. So first of all, starting with the ladder system, the thing I don't mind about the ladder system is the leaderboard. I think that makes a lot of sense. You don't have to get rid of it. But at the same time, the way of, you know, calculating the leaderboard could be changed to something like in battle time, with like coefficients for different types of area. You know, if you're standing If you're farming the hardest possible area, then the coefficient is 1. If you're farming in the lower areas, you get the 0.5 or something of that sort. And then perhaps introducing some sort of punishes, like if you die, you lose a certain amount of leaderboard points, whatever. So that basically the people who would be at the top, they would be the best, who are playing the most, those who are actually deserving of it the most. And initially when I planned on making this video, I thought about that the leaderboard must have some sort of hardcore elements to it. Let's say if the leaderboard is based on your in-game, in battle time, then when you die you have to lose something very fucking precious to you. For example, your items, or like a level, or something of that sort. No, not everything, not pure Diablo 2 hardcore experience where you die and you just lose everything. I don't think that's necessary to be imposed on everyone. It would just really drive people crazy. But a certain element that would still cost you greatly. That means you can't just do dumb shit at the highest level areas with your, undergeared character or whatever, and just go full glass cannon in order to score most points or something of that sort. So that's the leaderboard stuff. Now, the other thing I want to touch is I think the game has to be lore based. Now, if you've watched the final episode of Game of Thrones, and don't worry, I won't spoil it, but what Tyrion Lannister said, he asked the council a question. What do you think is the most powerful thing in the world? The most persuasive thing in the world? Is it money? Is it army? And he said no, it's a story. It's a good story. That's what everyone enjoys. That's why we play games, to immerse ourselves in a freaking story, in lore, in some sort of fantasy world, whatever. So what I think action RPGs must have is a lore-based system. The game itself has to be lore-based. Now, the problem is obviously at some point you'll just experience the entire story and that's it. That's the end of the game. How many expansions can you put out? But here's the thing, like, what if you, when you're creating this this fantasy world of, let's say, Diablo or World of Warcraft or Voltson or whatever, at the beginning you don't specify what's like your end goal. Like Diablo, it's pretty much in the name. It's Diablo, the fucking devil that you have to kill. Once you kill it, any add-ons of the story on top of it, like Baal or Belial in Diablo 3, whatever. It kind of feels like, I've already beaten the main guy. I mean, it's fucking Diablo game. I killed Diablo. What's more here to come? So it does feel slightly, slightly off, not exactly like a well-written story. But what if you, in advance, create your story in a way that you don't tell the players what's the end goal, whether it's this demon or this demon or this demon, etc., etc. What if you keep them, interested, and you keep updating the content with, side stories and shit? There's been, an example that comes to my mind is, for example, a very successful anime called Bleach. The production value of Bleach was pretty low. Like, the action scenes are pretty shitty. But what really got me hooked up on that anime, actually Game of Thrones to some extent as well, is how many side stories you have and how extensive they are. And with side stories, you just open up, a barrage of possibilities. Don't limit yourselves to one single story that, you're the fucking hero and you have to slay this beast. Once you slay him, that's it. It's game over. Or you tell the players that, this is the final boss, and you keep interrupting their story with side stories. That just kind of gets annoying at some point. Like, for example, fucking Naruto. You kind of had the end goal in mind throughout the entire anime, becoming the fucking Hokage. but you just keep interrupting the story with side stories and then backtracking, etc. And you're still waiting for that end game and just never coming. And people got so pissed off at those fillers that, you know, nobody was really happy with the finale. So my suggestion is just not to tell what's the fucking end goal. You know, keep pushing forward, keep introducing those side stories. Don't tell what's the end goal. Keep the players guessing what will come next. What is the end goal, and then just see what happens. And more than that, you know, if we take a look at, for example, World of Warcraft, which is kind of doing the same thing, but I think there's a very important nuance that World of Warcraft has, and I think this is the spot where they fucked up. They changed the core features of the game. You know, at first, World of Warcraft Vanilla was all about being social with people. The game was so fucking hard, there were no flying mounts, so you were just pretty much forced to be social. And if you take a look at any of the, you know, vanilla hype videos right now, most of the YouTubers will say that the social aspect of World of Warcraft is one of the main things they enjoy about vanilla. In Battle for Azeroth, you do not have that, because you don't have to travel such long distances so slowly, so you don't meet up with other people. You just can solo everything because it's so fucking easy, except for those raids, etc. So you just don't have to socialize. You know, that's an issue. They changed throughout all of those expansions, even though they kept adding more lore, more story, they kept changing the world, they kept introducing new areas. They changed the core features. I don't think anyone minded the expansions from, you know, more lands to discover, more different types of monsters to slay, different new raids, etc, etc. I don't think anyone minded that. But when you change the core features from a very social game with hard battles and no quality of life features to something that's pretty fucking soloable and doesn't really require you to talk to people, plus all those world games, like I haven't even played them, but I've seen like fucking chasing chickens or something. It's just fucking retarded. It's not the original World of Warcraft, they're completely separate games. I think World of Warcraft did a lot of things right, but they messed up with the core gameplay features. And what I would suggest is that you keep introducing expansions with new areas, plot twists, etc, etc. Sometimes maybe not just a new area, but let's say, you know, let's say you're in Act 5 in Diablo 2, and instead of the next expansion introducing Act 6, what if, you know, fucking demons launched an assault on Act 1, and suddenly everyone has to go back and fucking defend it? You know, let's say a certain plot twist, you don't necessarily need to introduce new areas for it, you just need to change a certain area that you have right now, so something like World of Warcraft did. But just don't change the core features. Sure, you will have to add some new items, keep the power level going up slightly, but then again, it's a pretty thin line of, you know, it's pretty easy to overdo it. But keep it fucking simple, add more variety, don't just overpower items when you're adding them with new expansion. Now, at this point, I do realize that releasing new expansions, new content, it's pretty fucking expensive from the developer side. Though we do have examples like Path of Exile, which are constantly adding new content, and they seem to be doing fine. But here's a random thought that I just had a while ago, and I don't know, I just personally found it really fascinating. What if you challenge the players and really upped the difficulty, and when you have a very difficult game and you just tell the players, hey, until you're able to beat this expansion, we're not adding a new one, and make it so fucking hard that you'd be certain that nobody would beat it like within a year, and then just pretty much fucking mock them all over like social media. Keep tweeting on Twitter like you fucking, I don't know, noobs can't even beat this expansion. Why are you asking for another one? First gotta beat this one. I would just find such an interaction so freaking amusing. Like, I wouldn't even be mad at them. It would be absolutely fascinating to see a developer so daring in taunting, you know, the players. And at this point, probably the challenge would have to be more, you know, group-based, not like something that you can solo play. So this is where kind of a MMORPG aspect comes into it. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter how you implement it. Whether it's, you know, like in Diablo 2, you can still have up to 8 players. In Diablo 3, I don't remember, I'm guessing probably same 8 players in a single game. So it's not necessarily needs to be like MMORPG. I think this is like a technical detail of how you do it rather than what you do. So this interaction where you need to gear up like 8 different people and to be like full gear to the fucking teeth, buffed up, whatever, enchanted, you fucking name it, to beat like a certain boss, and only when a single group manages to kill that last boss, only then the developer releases the next expansion. I would be fucking fascinated. Like it both has the competitive gameplay elements, you know, who is able to do that first, what kind of strategy they use, etc., and both the story aspect of it, because you keep getting new content. Now, that's something that's, you know, I think it's like a recipe for timeless game. Obviously, it has a lot of issues. I'm not sure how that would make sense from business perspective. It's just pretty much my fucking fantasies and what I would personally love to see. So that's it for this ramble. That's it for episode 1 of what's it called again? Oh right, VbeerLOG. Do tell me, guys, what you thought of this, whether it's worth pursuing. I'll probably still do it regardless of what you said, but you know, feedback is always a nice thing. Plus, I'm also doing this for the sake of learning how to fucking speak without a script, as this was one of those few videos that I actually did fully unscripted with some bullet points. That's it. Other than that, I thank you folks for watching. Hope you all have a lovely day, and see you guys in the comment section. Cheers!
Hey, this sounds just like you smashing that subscribe button after seeing this video.